World Cup because it's starting on Friday, and that's why I've got my jersey because honey, my country went to the World Cup. I mean, it is one thing we're known for. You've got to give it to us. We are known for being the soccer people of Africa. I know, Unomona, you wouldn't say yes because you're jealous. Your inner pagati is like, nah, but come on, dog. We are one of the 5 African countries that qualified for the World Cup, Cameroon.
You are that someone I've been trying to meet.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you are new, special welcome to you. If you're old, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for being a part of the gang. My name is Geraldine Ngibu Djetkeu. I am a Cameroonian residing in Johannesburg, in Gauteng of South Africa. On this channel, we do all things fake because I'm a Christian like that. We do all things live in South Africa because I mean, that's where I stay. And I mean, the country is developed and the people love their country. So let's talk about it. And that's why I talk about South Africa. Anyhow, if you are new, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on your post notifications so that whenever I upload a video, you would be the first to know. In all my previous videos, I've been talking about life in South Africa, some things that were a cultural shock to me. And in my recent upload, I spoke about South Africans, about how they love their country, how they don't travel a lot, and how they think that some of us coming to their country is just a bore, like we must stay in our country and all of that. Nonetheless, we're talking about that today. But first of all, let's talk about this past weekend. This past weekend was very entertaining, very interesting. Because there was the Black Label Cup that was being played for, where we saw some very big teams in South Africa playing towards that. And the way that those games were played were a shock to me. You know, played semi-finals and finals all on the same day. I've never seen that. I've never heard of that word. Semi-final and final of a certain tournament is being played on one day. But that was what happened over this weekend, and it was interesting to watch, but I learned that it's not new because that was how soccer used to be played back in the days in South Africa, you know. So talking about the soccer games of this weekend, we saw the very big teams, that's your Amazulu and Sundowns and Chiefs and Pirates playing for the Black Label Cup. It was very interesting to see that. I mean, I'm a Sundowner, I'm a huge fan of Sundowns. I'm a great Sundowns supporter because I'm a huge fan of Ndade Motsepe. I'm a huge fan of his because I mean, I support the people that I'm inspired by people that have got money, you know? You know, they say follow no roads, I'll follow. So I follow those that know the road. If you want to be a billionaire, like I'm aspiring like Ndade Motsepe, so I'm following in his lane. But well, that's really the only reason why I'm a Sundown fan, like just because of Ndade Motsepe. If not for him, I would not really be any soccer fan in South Africa. But nonetheless, and you know the big teams, Amakosi and Pirates, you know whenever they play, I feel like it's a bore. You know, when Chiefs and Pirates play, I think it's overrated these days because those two people, their game is really boring. Their game is boring. But nonetheless, the fans love it, the people love it. So, Chiefs played against Pirates. It was a very tough game, as people expected. It went to a penalty shootout where Pirates won, and Sundowns played against Amazulu, where they moved Amazulu to 3-0. And these two teams went to the final, and that was Sundown playing against Pirates, and then Chiefs losing and Amazulu losing. They went to a penalty shootout, fighting for 3rd position. And then later in the evening, that was when the finals was played, which was Pirates against Sundowns. And Sundowns winning, you know how we do it. We won Pirates 4-0. Yes. So I'm a proud Sundown fan. And you know, like when Sundowns won, it took me back to my primary school days, how we used to have this song where we would sing, but I'm gonna sing it with Sundowns to say, if you don't know how to play ball, come to Sundowns, they will teach you. They will teach you how to play ball, they will teach you how to score. And I said that to my friends, you know, to the Pirates fans, the Chiefs fans, they were so irritated. Like, if you don't know how to play ball, come to Sundowns, they will teach you. All of you are wasting your friendship in all this little Nyana clubs, you know. Sundowner for life, yeah. And it was a very beautiful Saturday. And also, during the breaks of those games was a documentary about the African countries which have qualified for the World Cup 2022 FIFA Qatar. On everybody's lips this week, it's Qatar. It's World Cup because it's starting on Friday, and that's why I've got my jersey, because honey, my country went to the World Cup. I mean, it is one thing we're known for. You've got to give it to us. We are known for being the soccer people of Africa. I know, Mona, you wouldn't say yes because we're jealous. Your inner pagati is like, meh, but come on, dog. We are one of the 5 African countries that qualified for the World Cup, Cameroon. But, well, that's what we're talking about today. But first of all, let's skip to Sunday, where Tapelo won Idol. In my last video, I was rooting for Tapelo. I was Team Tapelo all the way. And I was super excited. I was so happy when Mwana Papa took it home. I was super happy for him because I think he deserved it. In every shape, form, Tapelo deserved to win Idol. So, yeah. That was just the weekend, very eventful, very achievable. And also my church, Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, was celebrating 65 years of independence from the Basel Mission from Switzerland. So it was a very joyful weekend, and that's why I'm uploading this video late, guys, because I needed a break. I needed to just recover from this excitement. And I'm sure a lot of you will be like, but why is she in her Cameroonian jersey? So today I'm talking about Cameroon. You know, someone was like, I bet you can talk about your country or talk about South Africa. First of all, I talk about South Africa because that's a country where I currently reside in. And number 2, I talk about South Africa because when I look at my subscriber base, a lot of them are from South Africa. And I think South Africa, it's like a very good developing country where a lot of people want to know about South Africa. Hence the reason why I talk about South Africa. Some of you do not like my comment. You're like, oh no, you're generalizing too much. It's just for you to go ahead in the comment section, give your opinion, correct whatever you want to correct, because people are going to watch your comments. And like I always do, I would read some of the comments and we discuss on that. So today's video entirely is about Cameroon. I thought I'd talk about Cameroon because, honey, we are going to, if I'm not we're going, we went already to Qatar. We are one of the 5 countries in Africa that qualified for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. And you know, also the other reason why I want to talk about Cameroon was because over the weekend, while I was watching those soccer games, during one of the breaks, there was a documentary where they were just showcasing these different African countries that have qualified for the 2022 World Cup. And they spoke about my country, or my country came on the screen, and that was an SABC one. And it was a very bittersweet moment. It was a bittersweet moment. Sweet because, you know, this is it's a huge milestone. Not even a huge, I mean, Cameroon is known for soccer. I think a lot of people, when they come across me, they're like, where are you from? I'm like, Cameroon. They'll be like, oh, Roger Mila, oh, Samuel Eto'o. You know, Cameroon is known for soccer. That's what Cameroon is basically known for. So us being on South African TV, they're talking about us, it was a good moment. I'm bitter because I think that my country deserves to be in a better position in terms of development than what it is now. So today we're going to be talking all things Cameroon. If you want to know about Cameroon, stay tuned to the end. If you are Cameroonian and you want to give your comment, leave it in the comment section. And honey, let's get into today's video. Cameroon flag is represented here, which is green, red, yellow with a little star in the middle of the red. And here it's a Cameroon Federation football. That's how they call the Cameroon club, or Cameroon Fika Foot, that's what they call it. And then on the side, on the left, you've got a lion. You know, you've got a face of a lion, because Cameroon's national team is known as Les Lions Indomitables. So in English, it's the Indomitable Lions. Cameroon is a country in Central Africa. Some people say it's West Africa, I say Central Africa, so I'm going with Central Africa. The first people to come to Cameroon to colonize were the Germans, right? But because of Consort Herod, who was too late, you know, we call him too late Herod, Britain and France took over, and Britain and France were able to colonize Cameroon. And nonetheless, France colonized the majority of Cameroon, and Britain was able to colonize the minority, which is close to Nigeria. I think if you also know Nigerian's history, Nigeria was also colonized by Britain. But Cameroon gained independence from its colonial masters in 1960, right? And on the 20th of May, these two sections or these two divisions of Cameroon, that's English and French, decided to become one nation, where the Britain asked the English section of Cameroon to either vote to join to Nigeria or to join French Cameroon, and the majority voted to join French Cameroon, and that was now how we've got French and English Cameroon all together becoming as one. So 20th of May, it's the day where in Cameroon they celebrate Cameroon's reunification, where those two sections became one nation. So that explains why in Cameroon we've got English and French. Cameroon is a bilingual country. Bilingual means we've got two languages which are the common language of, or the main languages if you can say. So we've got English and French. And in Cameroon we've got 10 regions. Previously we called them provinces, but right now they're called regions. So 8 of those regions are French speaking and 2 of those regions are English speaking. I am from the English section. I was born and raised in the Southwest. My mom is from the Northwest. And yes, my father is from the French section. We moved there in America. I can speak French, but not so fluent. I can write French better than speak it, because growing up in the English section, I learned French in school. Donc je peux écrire le français, je peux parler le français un peu, mais c'est pas que mon français est bien, tu vois. Je sais quand même, c'est pas que je connais tous les mots. Je peux dire bonjour, c'est comment, je m'appelle Geraldine, je viens du Cameroon, and you know, yeah, I can express myself, you know, in French to some extent, but not the best. And also, Cameroon has had 2 presidents since its independence in 1960. The first president being Amadou Ahidjo, and then the second president being His Excellency President Paul Biya. So His Excellency President Paul Biya has been ruling Cameroon for 40 good years. Guys, can the F just cover me? And he's 89 years of age. At the moment, I think in the entire world, he's the longest ruling president. I think first was President Mugabe, but now that President Mugabe is of late, my president, His Excellency President Paul Biya. Paul, you know in school we sing Paul Biya Biya, Paul Biya Biya, notre président, paix de la nation, Paul Biya. Oh gosh! That man has been ruling before I was born. I think even before my mom knew that she was going to have a child like me. He's been ruling until date. He's still ruling. He's still the president, and I think that will make a lot of people question to say, but why is he not out of power? And people will be like, why are people not fighting? Why are people not, you know, why is there no fight for him to come out of power? When you look at Cameroon's history, because going to school, we had Cameroon history, we had African history, and we had world history. So due to Cameroon history, I know Cameroon history, world history. We study about Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana. We also studied about Nelson Madiba, or Nelson Mandela, as a lot of people will know him, and also the apartheid era in South Africa. And you know, in the world history, World War I, World War II. So looking at Cameroon history, it's not that people have not tried to get that man out of power. A lot of attempts have been made, but it's just not been successful. It's just not been easy. And the most recent one that happened was in 2015, where the English Cameroonians wanted to be a separate nation from the French Cameroonians. Because the English region, we've got a lot of resources. We've got rubber, we've got cocoa, we've got timber. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of resources in Cameroon that could be used to develop the country. A lot of French Cameroonians were dominating positions in the English section, and the English people became like, but why would you come and dominate in our area? You know, you had lawyers, you had magistrates who were French Cameroonian, but the English Cameroonians, we also go to school, we get educated. Why can we not be in these big positions of authorities? Why can we not be in these big positions of power? So that got a lot of people to mobilize and say, we want to be a nation on our own. So that also has me thinking to say, I'm not saying that South Africans do not have a fighting spirit, right? South Africans have a fighting spirit, but I also want to think that it's an African thing. I think every African has a fighting spirit, you know, because even in Nigeria, you look at the NSAS movement. You know, Nigerians got up to say, you know, enough is enough, the violence, you know, we're tired of the violence. But where did that end up today? You know, even in Cameroon, the Anglophone crisis, where did it, you know, a lot of people have died, a lot of people, you know, have lost their property, a lot of people have had to relocate, a lot of people have lost a lot due to this fighting spirit. And yet, nothing has been achieved, the goal has not been achieved, because the goal was to say we want an English Cameroon as a nation, but how many years later? We're looking at 7 years later, 6 to 7 years later, and nothing has changed. It's the same. People have to stop going to school for a while, and you know, that will now take me to the comment that I said on, but I don't have the comment anymore, so I'm gonna put it up here. In my last video, towards the end, I said a lot of South Africans love their country. South Africans do not relocate a lot, and that's why when we come to their country, it's a thing of no, go back to your country, go and fight for your country, go and make your country better, go and, you know, it's not that we don't fight for our country, you know, because if you know the history of the Anglophone crisis in Cameroon, you would know how many people have lost their lives. You would know how many people have lost their investment. You would know how many people have had to relocate to Nigeria. You would know how many people have had to stop going to school because of this one thing that they were fighting for. And 6 years later, nothing has been achieved. It's just been like a waste. And you know, a lot of people say go and invest in your country. I personally know a lot of Cameroonians in South Africa who have invested in South Africa. What I mean invested, I'm not talking small, I'm talking people that have got properties, people that have got serious assets, that should they have carried all this their investment and invested in Cameroon, Cameroon would have been a beautiful place. Some of them, yes, have done those investments, and because of this crisis and all of this thing, a lot of them have lost, you know, this investment. And it's a thing where there's no stability in Cameroon, there's no assurance, you know, so that also makes people worry about their investment, you know. So when we come out from our countries to other countries and invest in those countries, it's not that our country, it's not, you know, we cannot go and make those places better. I know that there are Cameroonians out of Cameroon who have the ability to make Cameroon a beautiful country, who have the ability to invest in Cameroon and make Cameroon a wowing wow. But when you look at a country where a president has been ruling for 40 years, he's 89, he doesn't want to step down. And even at the moment when he's planning to even step down, he wants to hand over power to his 51-year-old son. And now we're questioning ourselves, so where's the democracy? Where is the freedom? Where is the, you know, it's a sad situation. It's very sad. I was so much impressed by this one comment, which I'm going to put up here, right? And the comment was by Firewall of Facts, and he said, if Cameroon had 5 million white people living in South Africa, there would be vast improvement all around. The West allows South Africa to grow quicker because many of its people live there. Put that many of their people in any African country, they will not need to live as well. I think this is a fact. I think what this person said is as harsh as it may sound. Like I'm saying, I know of Cameroonians, I'm not even Cameroonians who, should they want to invest in Cameroon, like Cameroon will become a wow. To support what he said, South Africans, dear South Africans, how many of your billionaires are of our skin shade, of my skin shade or of my skin color? How many of them? I think Dade Motsepe is the one who tops the list. My role model. He's the one who tops the list. And mind you that these billionaires, they contribute vastly to your economy through the tax they make, through the expenses. So that goes a long way to boost your economy. That goes a long way to boost your country. So South Africa is a country that had a lot of privileges from its colonial leaders, I can say. Yes, the beautiful roads, the infrastructures, all of that, and even still now, they still contribute towards your growth, you know, towards your economy. And You know, a lot of people will think, okay, why not go and fight for your country? You know, people compare South Africans, apartheid era, and all this other African fight, and they're like, no, if South Africans could be able to gain their freedom, we too can gain independence, we too can gain separation. But it's like you all are fighting internally. You know, Cameroon Anglophone crisis, you were just siblings, brothers and sisters of the same roots, of the same everything, fighting each other. So it's gonna be hard. To me personally, you know, when I heard about the Anglophone crisis from the onset, I was like, you all should not even compare that with South Africa. You all should not even compare that, because South Africa was fighting a different race. They were fighting a whole different fight. You know, it's like for example, let's say you're fighting somebody from outside, an external person, right? It's going to be easier for you to win that external person because your entire family can support you, root for you, and you root that person to death. You understand? But imagine fighting your own sibling, which is what Cameroon is doing. Fighting you all, nobody's going to win. Your mother will not say, oh, this is the winner, this is the loser. But instead, they would want you to find amicable ways of staying together still. So to me, it still makes sense why 6 or 7 years later, Cameroon Anglophone crisis has been a waste. It has been a waste of people losing their life, people losing their property, people losing a lot. You know, it's just been people losing a lot of stuff. And you know, it's not that the rest of Africa we don't have a fighting spirit. We do have a fighting spirit. You know, we are like people from abusive relationship. You know, in abusive relationship, there comes a time where you need to stop fighting and pick your things and balega in your zombie and run for your life. It takes courage to live an abusive relationship. So it takes courage. So it takes courage for us to leave our countries and, you know, go to other countries. So basically, I'm just saying that South Africans, you know, telling us that go back to your country and fight for your country and all of that, we don't have the same struggles as you. We don't have the same problems as you. You know, you have a different problem. The rest of Africa, internally, they've got a different problem, you know. And nonetheless, I'm not saying that us coming to your country is right, but I'm also just saying that we contribute to this country, you know. So, and you know, there is this mentality like the one commented that said, oh, I'm sure, where some of you think that because you see a foreigner, then they're bad people, they're illegal, and all of those things. No, not everybody falls in that category, you know. So the same way as some of you say I should not generalize South Africans, you also try not to generalize us as foreigners, because some of us are good people, some of us, you know, we're nice people. And also another thing that I wanted to share with also South Africans is to say, you know, South Africans say that foreigners are the reason why there's a lot of crime in South Africa. I cannot say there's no crime in Cameroon. For a fact, there's crime in Cameroon. But the crime in South Africa, guys, if you've not been robbed in South Africa, no, let me say, if you've not been robbed in Joburg, if you are in Johannesburg and you've not been robbed, raise your hand and say, hallelujah, God is good. And the sad part is, the robberies, there's a very thin line between you going to the life beyond. I've been robbed, guys. I know what it feels like. I've been robbed. I know what it feels like. I've been robbed at gunpoint, where I was like, God, it's me, your daughter again, come through for your child, you know. I'm not saying that foreigners do not commit crimes. Yes, some foreigners do commit crimes, but also the other thing that I've come to realize is that I think in some of those crimes, South Africans are involved. I mean, like, guys, let's be honest, you see us, we are very greedy people. Us, check. We are very, like, for a fact in Cameroon, because of the greed, right, bribery and corruption is very high. But in South Africa now, it's a whole different ballgame. Bribery and corruption now in South Africa, it's a whole different ballgame. But you know, also one thing I really want South Africans to take out from this video is to say, I really want to encourage South Africans to be South Africans of good conduct, you know. Before you want to point out at a person and say you are doing bad, or you are wrong, or you are, check in yourself internally. Are you a South African of good conduct? How are you contributing towards this beautiful country of yours being the developed country that a lot of you aspire and think of, because there's also this YouTube channel where, guys, the stories that people say in those channels, in that channel, and for some of them I know for a fact some of them are South Africans. So I'm not saying that foreigners do not commit crime. Like I said, yes, we do commit crimes, but I also believe that some of these crimes are facilitated by South Africans. I mean, how do you explain an entire police station? How do you explain a police station being robbed? A whole cash in transit being hijacked. There's just a lot of crime going on. There's just a lot of crime where I'm saying this from a place where I've been robbed and I've seen that in front of me, and it was just that sad. I've also heard other people's story, and some of these robbers or some of these criminals, they are heartless to the core. They are heartless to the core. So if you're a foreigner who's doing crime and committing crime in South Africa, please stop, man. South Africans have been so nice, so welcoming to let you into their country. I mean, I would literally be so upset if I should let someone into my house and then they decide to turn my house upside down. So if South Africans are angry about foreigners committing crimes, they've got every single right. Because I mean, how do you leave your own country to come to another man's land and you want to destroy it? That just not help. It's a no-no for me. So bottom line, foreigners, please, let's try to respect people and their land and their country. And also South Africans, it's not that we left our country because we don't know how we cannot fight or whatever. For some circumstances, like I said, it's an abusive relationship where there comes a point where you gotta pick up your stuff and malega in your but also like I said, people travel for different reasons. Some people are in South Africa because of school. Some people are in South Africa because of spatial or critical skills or particular skills that they have. So bottom line, South Africa is not a bad country. Honestly, South Africa is not a bad country. The people are welcoming, the people are loving. So long as you don't step on their toes, so long as you don't get them angry. And another thing that I was thinking about is to say, in Cameroon, we've got something we call jungle justice, where should you commit a crime, then my country, we kill you, we put tires on you, and they burn you there and there. And but here in South Africa, the freedom and the laws, they make a lot of things. A lot of people get away with a lot. And if some of those laws have to be revised, this country, you see that developed world that people are looking at, you would get there. And on that note, according to Google, the most developed African country is Mauritius. I did not know. I thought South Africa was the most developed, but I learned that South Africa is developing. It's not the best yet. Oh God, guys, this afternoon, let me rant, let me get angry. Because Eskom, you all know I don't like cold, I don't like winter. So even in warm weather, I like to bath in warm water. Today I came back, I said, let me get into the shower just before I put in this video. And as I opened it to my warm water, the warm water was coming up, only for me to start feeling cold water. You know what happened? It was load shedding. Excellence, what's the problem? Are you guys looking for engineers? What's the problem? Share your problem with the rest of South Africa. I'm sure there are people that have solutions. And dear people, if you've got solutions towards Eskom's problem, please come forth. Come forth. We are tired of load shedding. But nonetheless, continue to be the wonderful, amazing, loving person that you are, because you make the world a different place. And on that note, take care of you, because you never know when your last breath is gonna come through. And on that note, I'm out.